All right, well, welcome back. I believe there needs to be further clarification about an issue which happened, which I saw on YouTube, and I had responded, though there hasn't been a good response in my opinion, and I wanted to refer directly to the Quran. I have a Persian, English, Arabic translation, which I purchased in the Middle East, but I only speak and read and write the three, both reading and writing and speaking in English of those three. So I'm going to be using the English translation, and the words may seem somewhat different than a translation you could find online or in a different Quran, but the meaning is the same, okay? So let me set this down because this is a very large book, because it's three different languages, different than the Rosetta Stone, but here you have this. Okay, so I had to set on the table, the coffee table, the Quran. I have, so Quran with a Q. I believe some individuals spell the Quran with a K, like a Quran. Because possibly there's an issue making the sound, the QU sound. So anyways, the issue is this, okay. When an individual who claims to be a Sheikh, and his first name, I'll refer to him by his first name, Uthman, or different individuals who are disproportionately, specifically of Pakistani descent, and claim to be Muslims, those Sunni Muslims, because there is a difference between Muslims who are Sunni and Muslims who are Shia. There is no way you can accurately explain the Shia as being the same as the Sunni, okay? And remember, Islam requires a belief in God, a worship of God. There's a difference between God and any prophet, any messenger, any angel, any book, okay? Just to keep this somewhat brief. So the worship is to God alone, okay? Do not ever, for even a second, believe there is to be worship of Muhammad. Ever, never. This is actually what will lead you to hellfire. You will burn, your father will burn, your wife or husband will burn as a result. Very likely. Okay, you only may in Islam worship God, okay? Now, we have a respectful attitude because God has allowed human individuals to become prophets or messengers, but the worship is exclusively to God as a fact, factually true, actually the case in what correct Islam is, okay? Whether Sunni or Shia, okay, or any different group, for example, Sufi, let's say. Okay, so in the USA, where I am of by birth, my father and mother are born in the Middle East, though they have been US citizens for several decades, though my mother passed away recently, less than a year earlier than today. As I've stated, my father is disproportionately Shem genome, and my mother is Japheth genome, Dravidian, but Middle Eastern Dravidian. I'm not sure when the split happened, but so I'm in a sense, very loosely, I'm Middle Eastern Dravidian, like Middle Eastern Indian, sort of. And there's this non-ending attack by Pakistani humans in a time of war, okay? In a time when humans are being slaughtered and there has been genocide of the Middle Eastern, let's say beginning with the Armenians in the Armenian genocide, which I made a video about genocide and I had to learn the numbers, and I was trying not to make too many mistakes, but I had trouble with this issue. Though I'm making this YouTube channel also to learn, not only to like speak. But okay, so since the Armenian genocide in the early 1900s and the Holocaust, there has been non-ending persecution, slaughter, death of Middle Eastern humans. Some have been guilty, some have been innocent, and I guess there's a shade of gray. I'm wearing a gray shirt. Okay, But this is the thing. Let's refer directly to the Quran after talking some facts about the USA. In the USA specifically, black humans, West African descended disproportionately, are enormously powerful. They are extremely strong and have been for many years. Even within slavery, there was strength. Even after slavery, in the civil rights movement, there was strength. Okay, so the black humans in America, so all won't who are living have been a slave. All won't. Okay? First issue. Any human who tells you otherwise is incorrect. All won't have been a slave. All were of the USA free humans who are alive at the moment. I'm not saying in the distant past. Okay? So remember this. We're not talking about humans who are as slaves and and I am advocating any type of quarrel with a human held as a slave, because I'm a slave in relative truth. Okay, now, so black humans are strong. They're strong politically. They have great strength physically. They have great strength in terms of the media. So acting, singing, different things. They have great strength with women. They have great strength in terms of money. This is an issue which isn't brought up. In the USA, many black humans are very wealthy. So very few black humans in the USA as a percentage are poorer than in individuals in, let's say, disproportionately individuals in South America, in Africa, in many parts of Asia. Okay, USA humans in general are very wealthy compared to the rest of the world. So if I'm talking about humans who are black in the USA, they are very wealthy in addition to what else I've stated. Okay, a black human in the USA can easily make in 1 hour $15. I'm not saying every individual. There are many individuals such as myself, though, who are black, who have trouble making, having a job or like employment, or getting out of unemployment and cannot earn 15 an hour. But there are many as a percentage who can earn $14, $15 an hour and above. In some states, this is even below minimum wage, okay? And this $14 or $15 an hour, though of course the cost is higher, is higher than, for instance, in the Philippines, where in the Philippines, a minimum wage employee is in a day making 10 to 11, or let's say $12 in a day's work. And in many instances, if I understand correctly, not even being paid for lunch, okay, the time they have off for lunch. So we're talking wealthy humans, we're talking powerful humans, influential humans. And this Sheikh, Uthman, stands there and is afraid in a conflict, when this individual who is speaking to him is obviously speaking as a kafir, as an unbeliever of Islam. Because Muhammad in Islam is not to have burned in hell, which the individual says. And the Quran is not to be burned, which the individual says, the black-skinned individual. Because I made this video and I didn't explain this. Okay, now Uthman is talking somewhat, but let me talking in response to the individual, but he doesn't use hands. He doesn't put hands on the individual. And let me refer to the Quran to give you an exact explanation, and then I'll go back to how Uthman and these different, I believe Adnan is a different individual, though he's in Europe, I believe. These Pakistani descended individuals or Pakistani born individuals, how anti-Muslim they are, but when an individual who is stronger than them and is obviously a kafir in Islam, okay? An unbeliever of God in what Islam is. So they are weak and they do not respond and they are afraid and they are evil. Okay, so let me give you the exact quotes a moment. Okay, so in Surah, the second Surah, Baqarah, so I believe is the calf, if I remember correctly. Okay, so we have I believe, I don't know how to explain it. Is it ayat or like the verse? We have 190, okay? So the second surah, Al-Baqarah, surah 2, we have, and I have my fancy bookmark of Jose Rizal, Dr. Jose Rizal of the Philippines, who I love. And it says, I don't know if you can read this, Noli mi tangere, which I believe is Latin for touch me not, okay? And I really care about this individual, and I love this bookmark. So we have, so at 190, we see, fight in the cause of Allah those who fight you, but do not transgress limits, for Allah loveth not transgressors. Okay, let me finish, let me go on. Okay, so we have in 191, and slay them wherever ye catch them, and turn them out from where they have turned you out. For persecution is worse than slaughter. But fight them not at the sacred mosque, unless they first fight you there. But if they fight you, slay them, such is the reward of those who reject faith. Okay? But if they cease, Allah is oft forgiving, most merciful. That was 192, 193. And fight them on until there is no more persecution and the religion becomes Allah's. Because if they cease, let there be no hostility except to those who practice oppression. 194. The prohibited month for the prohibited month. And so for all things prohibited, there is the law of equality. If then anyone transgresses the prohibition against you, transgress ye likewise against him. But fear Allah and know that Allah is with those who restrain themselves. Okay, so the argument is going to have been the Sheikh restrained himself. Okay, but the message is actually to continue the hostility if the individual has been hostile to you until the individual submits and ends hostility. And the individual did not end the hostility. Sheikh Uthman gave up and let the hostility continue. Okay, this is what happened. So, you non-ending during a time of war, obviously, Shia never will have believed Muhammad is to burn in hell. Shia will never have a belief God has no relation to Muhammad and wishes Muhammad to burn in hell. All won't in the Shia have believed this. Now, you non-ending during a time of a quarter of a century of warfare and slaughter and death of millions of Muslims, you non-ending keep pushing this issue that Shia are unbelievers, Shia are kafir. Well, you have an obvious kafir on camera of an entirely different group who isn't in the country you are in, which I assume is the USA or in Europe, isn't in active warfare. There is no active warfare in the US, in the UK. There have been terrorist attacks. There is violence, of course, but there isn't active warfare. There isn't active bombing. There isn't an active missile strike response. There aren't armed men at extremely high percentages ready to kill each other with guns, okay? Now, you end the hostility with the hostile who continues to be hostile as he walks away, yet you non-ending persecute the Muslims who are Shia. Why? Because the Shia believe there is a title God allows in addition to what the last prophet and messenger of God was allowed, the prophet and Rasul, Muhammad, may peace be upon him. There is an additional title of Imam, which is different than like a church leader or like a mosque leader or whatever you think it is, or like a simple cleric, which resembles a saint or an apostle in Christianity. Okay, all won't have been accurate to reject the title, but there isn't a belief Muhammad should burn. Now, you don't pursue the individual. I'm not saying take out a gun and shoot the individual. I'm not saying cut his throat, but you couldn't throw a punch? You're this weak as an actual sheikh. What do I say? But you encourage warfare and extermination of Shia, and I explained this. What's the reason? So you can take women away. It's very simple. We understand this. Many individuals will never admit the truth, but this is the truth. Okay, you try to bully males within Muslim populations to make the males seem weak, so the women will come toward you. I shouldn't say come, arrive toward you. Okay, now let me continue to read of the Quran. We have in Surah Muhammad, okay, very, very important realization. Is it ayat or, okay, I'll say number 35. Okay, be not weary and faint-hearted, crying for peace, when ye are the uppermost, for Allah is with you and will never put you in loss for your good deeds. Okay, moment. So you're saying this individual should be let go. Let's say you're correct. You are the uppermost, okay? And why are you the uppermost? Because we understand in Islam, Muhammad isn't to burn in hell. Muhammad is the last prophet and he is Rasul in Islam of God, okay? Now, so you have the upper hand against the individual, yet you are afraid to raise hands and use your hands instead of simple words and a little bit of talk here and there. Okay, so you are faint-hearted because you do understand Black individuals in the USA are strong, very capable, and the individual is taller than you, probably higher capable to fight with hands than you, so you give up. This is what you are, okay? Now, if you're going to view the video, I suggest you view in the videos, all won't have viewed in the entirety, but view the video in the entirety and view my video in the entirety, and then understand this sheikh is afraid of what the Quran is. He believes because he talks, this is fine, and he persecutes Muslims, okay? So no more of this, the ummah is entirely the same, and no more that any hadith or anything Muhammad has said is anything resembling what God says. God alone is to be worshipped in Islam. And the kafir which attacks you, you are faint-hearted towards, and you allow to persecute you, and you allow to slaughter Muslims. And when it's time to work together to defend Islam, you are a Sunni Muslim. You aren't a Muslim alone. And I am, for instance, a Shia Muslim. So if you are going to divide the ummah, I am also going to divide the ummah further than you will have, okay?